Hello, welcome back to the Villa View. It's time for a post-match pint in association with Purity Ale. I'm your host, Dan Bardell, joined by Neil to discuss Arsenal 2, Aston Villa 1. Neil should appear on the screen very shortly, but before he does, don't forget to use the code hashtag VillaView if you want to get some goods from Purity. There he is. There's the magic man. Neil looking about as happy as I feel. Got to be honest, Neil. It's getting tough doing these shows. It feels like they're daily at the moment as well. And when you do so much talking about football as I do, it's literally a release to get to talk about anything that's not Villa at this point, because I think they are finally destroying my soul. Not because of last night, because I expected to lose to Arsenal, but just in general now. It's becoming hard work. And they did okay last night, didn't they? They did all right. That seems to be the bar at the moment. Did we do okay? And I probably would have accepted a narrow defeat before the game, which tells you everything about where we are. And I absolutely hate that I feel like that, but probably deserve to lose. But again, in a lot of ways now, our own worst enemies.
Oh, we 100% deserve to lose. There was a 10-15 minute period in the first half where it was just complete another pinball in our penalty area for like time after time and after time again. The composure was completely and utterly out the window. It even affected our big players like Martinez, somebody who, yeah, this season he has probably looked a small bit shaky with a couple of things. Very infrequently last season, but like 2 years ago, he was imperious and stuff like that wouldn't have happened. So there's a level of confidence that's missing. It's permeating throughout the whole squad, and there's only so many times that you can keep repelling attacks like that. It was better at times, Yeah, last night from the point of view of effort, I suppose, really, and fight. John McGinn kicked the guy, which was something different. But I agree with you. Last night was one that we would have chalked up to lose. I think it's just the manner that we lost in. It's the fact that we had no, like the mental frailty is just huge, and it's a massive point at the moment. We're conceding directly after we score,
Oh, it's
and
doing
like we
my
might
head
as well just take out a machine gun and blow our feet off at that stage because like we're no good at holding on to a lead, and it's. Like that's good. That permeates through everything, as I say, and confidence must be super super low at the moment. Never mind conceding directly after you score. Dan, as well, before we go on there, was it subliminal that you put on the Tim Sherwood top today, or is that just how you feel? Does it bring you back to those days, those heady heights of Tim Sherwood?
I mean, at the moment, it feels very similar.
It
I'm,
does, yeah.
I'm saying doesn't feel that far off. And I hate to say that at the moment. You make some points there, and I think there's lots wrong with us at the moment, on the ball, off the ball. But this conceding straight after you've scored,
Hmm.
that is a hallmark of an awful side. It's
Yeah.
not good. You can't dress that up. And to the season to be 5 games old and to have had that happen in 3 games already. We've only scored 4 goals, is it, as well? Just alarm bells are going off inside my head. If you look at those 3 individual games as well, these aren't things that just change games, they change seasons. So we go 2-0 up against Everton. I think me and you have had this discussion before, and I think it's your point that I'm stealing now. You go 2-0 up against Everton, you concede straight after you've scored to make the game that should be comfortable. You're then bombarded. Your centre back gets a pretty much season killing injury because you're so pinned back, because you've conceded a stupid goal after you've gone 2-0 up. That's completely disrupted our season. You get yourselves ahead against a good team in Crystal Palace, finally the chance to get a little bit of momentum. No, let's concede again within under 2 minutes. Pathetic. And then Palace just bullied us all game. And then last night, you ride your luck. Yeah, there was some defensive heroics in there. There was some awful defending in there as well, by the way. But there was some defensive heroics, and there was players putting bodies on the line. You get yourself to 1-1, and then again in under 2 minutes, it's 2-1 with just shambolic defending. People not doing what they're supposed to be doing. I don't like singling people out, but Concer's all over the place at the moment. He's never standing where I would expect a centre back to be standing, and a lot of goals come from that area. I'm afraid that's just the way it is at the moment. At the moment, I think he needs taken out for his own good. Bednarek
Yeah.
or no
Yeah.
Bednarek, although I did say we weren't going to talk about transfers in this
But like
show.
who?
I
No.
can't understand. I can't understand why Chambers isn't starting over him. I've been brutally honest. I cannot understand what Chambers has to do to get a start over Concert.
Yeah.
Concert needs taken out for his own good at this stage, in my opinion. But, we're not good all over. Luca Dean, 4 games in. I don't think he's had a good game yet this season. I think he's looked miles off it. To be honest, Cash isn't the player of last season. I thought Mings had a decent game. To his credit, of times it felt like he was keeping that back line together. Martinez has made a couple of mistakes, yes, bad bits of goalkeeping, but the guy's too busy throughout the game anyway. And Arsenal are a very, very good team. They'll take teams apart this season, no doubt, and we didn't get taken apart. But again, being brutally honest, we probably should have done.
We should, yeah, and it's just going back to the goals that we conceded there as well, because and you talk about that we don't want to be digging out players or whatever.
I
All
said I
of
didn't want
them,
to do it, and then I've gone and just done it. But
yeah, they've
people aren't performing.
they've come from hesitancy on that right hand side. They've come from hesitancy on that right hand side. The Everton goal comes. Cash was injured, in fairness, but that ball comes across the box, takes a deflection. I think off Kanza, if I'm not mistaken, or was it a deflection off Martinez? I don't know. The Martinez to get a save to it. Someone might remind me in the comments. And then it essentially hits off Dina. Dina can't get out of the way of that. But we have a man on the right hand side who was either injured or cramping or something like that. But it comes from that side. Likewise, Zaha just pins himself to the left wing like he did against Liverpool. Ball breaks him after we score, and then he just runs through. Konza wasn't strong enough, didn't bring him down. Cash could have done a small bit more, and we're 1-1 again. And then last night, same thing happens. Cash pulls right tight in, beside the post, almost defending it as if it's a corner. Martinelli just basically pulls back off him, and he can't get out to him. Martinelli's a shot. Yes, Martinez could have probably done a small bit better to save it. I don't know, but it is draining. It is draining when you see this consistently over and over and over again. And we've scored 4 goals, you said, and 25% of those goals have come directly from corners. And when I mean directly, as I said in the tweet to you last night, I mean directly from corners. Like, we weren't going to score last night, and all of a sudden Douglas Luiz pings one in from the corner flag.
Shortly after having done one of the worst corners I've ever
Yes,
seen before he did that as well.
absolutely, absolutely. And it's just one of those things. It was prime Aston Villa, and I hate that phrase as well, because Villa, it just, like, we weren't going to score last night until that happened. And when you ride your luck and you get one of these fluke events, although he's done it twice in a week, it's still essentially a fluke event. You know what you do at that stage is you go, Leon Bailey, come back, stand in here centre half if you need to, beside me. I need 4 other centre halves. We just do not concede a goal.
When you've already had it happen twice this season.
Yeah, yeah, and we
Oh,
don't. Lack of leadership, lack of nous, lack of almost nearly, and like, once again, is it lack of professionalism even from somewhere along the line? I don't know, and it's frustrating because, as you say, no player wants to do that, but we just inevitably end up doing it. Who knows?
Gerard's saying it's not a lack of effort, and I agree with that. I don't think any player goes out there and performs
No, I
badly on
don't think
purpose.
so
I
either.
don't think any player goes out there and doesn't work hard on purpose. I don't think that happens in professional football. What I will say is we are tactically, we were all over the place.
Oh,
We don't have a
bad.
clue either way at the moment, going forwards or defending. I don't see anything that looks organised, particularly defensively when we're defending. I don't see anything in transition that makes me think that we know what we're doing. And going forward, Ollie Watkins, 2 games in a row. I actually feel sorry for
Yeah,
Ollie Watkins. People can slag him off all you want to say we need a striker. We can have anyone up there. It doesn't matter at the moment. Ollie Watkins is running his socks off up there. He's running the channels. He's doing the things that he should be doing as a lone forward, especially up against a good team like Arsenal. But you need some help. Give the guy some service. There's just nothing for him. I genuinely sat there just feeling completely sorry for Ollie Watkins last night.
I agree. He had nothing to do because
Same with
there
the
was
West Ham game, to be honest.
nothing came his way. Absolutely nothing came his way. 26 touches in the whole game was what he had. 26 touches in the whole game. Now, saying that, John McGinn only had 29. 29 touches of the ball in a game for a central midfield player.
Yeah, I mean, the midfield, it's not there.
29.
The midfield's not there. That's not me having a go at McGinn. I
No,
honestly
but
think at the moment we're just restricting him. We're not letting him do anything that he's good at, and he's suffering as a result of that. I think the captaincy thing created a dialogue and created things that just aren't helpful. Not helpful for him, in all honesty. John McGinn's a good footballer. I don't care
yeah,
what anyone says. If you let John McGinn play his natural game, there's an effective Premier League player there. But we're just curtailing him. The midfield setup has not worked for such a long time now. Yet after the midfield looking somewhat okay against West Ham, especially in that first half, he's gone back to the 2 number 8s that it hasn't worked for too long now. And that's not having to go at Jacob Ramsey, and that's not having to go at John McGinn, because I
it's the
know they're both
tactics they're
good
being
players.
played in.
But that setup is not
Yeah.
working, and it hasn't worked for a long time. So to go back to it, I couldn't believe it. Now I don't know whether Douglas Luiz has been left out for other reasons. Obviously, we know there's transfer activity going on at the moment. I said I wasn't going to talk about transfers, so I'll leave it for later. But you know, I mean, that may have been why Douglas Luiz was left out last night. But whatever, that midfield has not worked for too long, and we're just continuing to trot it out, and it's doing my head in.
Yeah, and it's still like Kamara obviously aside. I think no matter
Yeah, I'm not
what
knocking him. It's not his fault,
exactly, it's
and he's
it's
doing his job in the main.
I thought he was okay last night. I thought he tracked
Yep.
back well. There was a couple of times when he got back at when they were trying to break. Yes, there was one errant pass he made that didn't go anywhere near him, but Tyrone Mings and nearly left Gabriel Jesus in. But I think in the main that he did pretty well last night. But that midfield for me is stale, and when we look at the situation that we're in at the moment, um, like McGinn, Ramsey, Douglas Luiz, Nakamba, whoever we brought in, even at times last season, or even the most of last season, bar one or two odd games, the midfield looked stale, and it's the same midfield players. Okay, Jacob Ramsey probably gets a bit of a pass because he's only 18 months into his Villa career, but it's the same three midfielders over and over again, or same combination of those three: McGinn, Luiz, Nakamba, at times that we've been basically playing since we get back into the Premier League, and it's never
Nakamba's
really worked in the
disappeared.
Premier League.
Nakamba disappeared. Nakamba, when Gerrard first came in, was I'm not for 1 second saying Nakamba is the answer and the saviour to all our midfield problems. Just like
No.
I think Luis should be in the team, but I'm not saying that about him either. Nakamba, when Gerrard first came in, was it really important and performing well? Now suddenly you can't even get on the bench. Where's he? You know, is he not a useful player to at least be able to bring on in games to try and break the play up? There's an argument for him starting in some games next to Kamara, I would say. But because we're wed to
Mm.
these three central midfielders, never changing from that, whatever goes on in front of them, you know, the formation is the 4-3. That doesn't change. The four defenders and the three in front. That formation, part of our formation, sorry, never changes. But you know, they're not an argument that Canberra should be somewhere near this squad at the moment. What has happened there?
And that is $1 million question, and it's a very fair question. And people will ask the same question about Sanson and things like that as well.
The
And their
Sanson stuff,
question,
I've got to be honest. In my opinion, I can understand it. That's two managers now that have had a look at him and said he's not good enough. You could say, you know, in his defence, he's never had a run in the team. You know, we bought him in for Brighton, was it? Brighton away. We bought him in for one game, and I remember tweeting saying it's great to start him, great to give him a chance, but you then got to give him the next game. But we don't. We take people out, and that's part of the problem with Villa at the moment as well. The front three, you never. I get that there's rotation. All the good teams have rotation, and we've got good options in the front three in the main. But no one's getting any rhythm because no one's. You play a game, you get taken out the next one. There's no consistency other than Ollie Watkins, and he didn't play the first game of the season. There's no consistency in what's going on in the selection in that front
yeah.
three. But it is the central midfield still for me that is the absolute problem in this side going both ways because they're too easy to play through and they don't offer enough support to the strikers. And whether that's to do with tactics and setup, I don't know. But it is not there at the moment.
Sanson, yeah, look, I did a piece on our podcast with regards to the chronicling all last year's games of Morgan Sanson, and he got injured at inopportune times. He was injured for the first 13 games of the season last year. Gerrard came in and then Gerrard actually played him in patches, 3 or 4 games. He was coming on as a substitute. Then he got injured. Then he came back, and we were in a good run of form. He was being brought on as a sub against Leeds, but Brighton and Southampton. I think he came as a sub in all 3 of those games. We won 3 games in a row. Then he was out of the team, or he was injured again. Then for a game, and it was really the last stretch of 5 games last season where McGinn actually had a good stretch. I was saying this when I look back at it. He had a decent enough stretch that time. 2 assists, both against Burnley, home and away, and he played well in all the games apart from Liverpool. And that kind of kept Morgan Sanson out. So it's not. I firmly believe last season that it wasn't that Steven Gerrard didn't want to play him. He got injured at inopportune times.
Well,
He
that's
got
been him the whole way through, really, as well.
Yeah, yeah, and like it's just there in black and white with regards to Sanson this season. I think people probably have an argument to make. Why hasn't he been on the bench? What's gone on? Why, his preseason, all that kind of jazz. But yeah, it's a question that needs to be asked for sure about himself and Nakamba, because Nakamba didn't even get a sniff in preseason either. And that one for me was really, really interesting, considering that he was a mainstay when Gerrard first came in, and then he also got injured and was out for 3 or 4 months, and now he's nowhere to be seen again. And there are two players that, if they don't leave today, which they don't seem to,
I don't think Nakamba will go. I think the Turkish window's open a lot later, and it looks like
the
it's where
Turkish window, I
Sanson
think,
might
could
go.
stay open until the World Cup. We might get rid of either
I'm
of
surprised
these
he
two
doesn't.
guys.
I'm surprised it
Yeah.
doesn't stay open. The Turkish window, anything goes in Turkey. They'll probably come and get Sanson in September. The Turkish football transfer market's just wild,
Mm.
and it always has been. So they could come and get Sanson. Even someone could come and get Nakamba,
Now,
really. But
th-
people are calling for different players, and as I say, I don't think Sanson's the answer personally.
I don't
But
think
because
so.
we're seeing the same setup in midfield every single week, and it's not working, people are going to ask these questions.
I think, yeah, and I think with bringing in the likes of the Donker
Not
is,
talk about transfers now, because that's 10 p.m. and you know this because you had specific instructions before we came on
I
the show.
did have, yeah.
Yeah,
It's a pity we don't have any player like him, the man I mentioned a moment ago that I can't mention anymore. Because if we did, if Nakamba was a player like that, we could potentially play the double pivot.
but we
And
could
I,
play the double pivot now.
we
We
could have
could have been playing it all season. This is what I don't
with
get.
Luis.
Yeah,
Yeah, maybe,
no reason.
maybe.
I actually think that's a good double pivot. Kamara and Lewis.
It could be better.
Well,
If
it could.
anyway,
Yeah, I get
we
that.
can't
But you
talk
know,
about transfers.
it's
We're
something
into
that we could.
very
It's something
murky
that we could have been
waters.
doing. 4-2-3-1 would shore us up a bit. And my
Yeah,
God,
oh, would be
we need shoring up.
yeah,
I'm sure people were talking about 4-2-3-1 last season when we needed shoring up, and this is the problem now. It feels like almost a follow on from last season, and it feels like there's been no summer now. It felt like
that's
that
it.
when I was in the summer, I felt like football was ages coming back. Now it feels like it's never been away, and it just feels like a continuation of last season. Except for arguably it's worse because I'm watching us sat in the bottom three, and we could be bottom of the league by tonight. You know from previous relegation battles, Villa need a result elsewhere. That result's not coming.
Oh
So we could well be bottom of the league by 10 o'clock tonight. And even after 5 games, you know, I'm not saying we're in a relegation battle. You can't dress it up as being good.
no, and you can't because we've not looked like we've been anywhere coherent in any game. And like, there's no game we've looked like we've been coherent. We've poor from crosses and corner kicks and whatever else,
Unless we're
set
shooting
pieces
from a
against
corner.
Bournemouth. Yeah,
Oh, you're
against
talking about
Bournemouth.
defensively, sorry.
Yeah, yeah,
Right.
and
I don't even
like
put that league table up. No one wants to see it, Adam.
that's scurrilous
Get
for you
rid of
to
it.
do
We've already
so.
spoke about it. No one wants to say that. People would rather look at our faces than look at that league table.
And that says
A
something.
lot more pleasant.
That's saying something. But like first game
Good to
was
see
good.
the Midlands doing well, though, isn't it?
Oh,
In the Premier
fantastic!
League, it's a great time for the
Absolutely.
Midlands in the Premier League at the moment.
Yeah, yeah.
Forest the most successful on 4 points. I mean, same Bournemouth ahead of us having what was their goal difference there? -16 or
Yeah,
whatever we were.
yeah,
They've got more points than us. Bournemouth
yeah.
just sacked their manager. It's not good, is it?
No,
I'm
it's not
laughing.
good.
It's an uncomfortable laughter.
It's not good. And look, there's like I don't think there's very many fans that will sit here and go, look, it's not a case of Gerrard in and Gerrard out and what camp you're in for me at the moment. Look, if he leaves, he leaves. If the board get rid of him, they get rid of him. If he stays, he needs to change his tactics. And like it's more of a case of about Villa win. I don't care how we do it. I genuinely couldn't care who's sitting in the dugout. So, with regards to that, it's just about find a way to win. If he doesn't do it, they got to get rid of him. So it's not a case here. The people have asked me, am I Gerrard in or Gerrard out recently today? And I'm going, it doesn't matter what the hell I think. It doesn't matter what the hell you think. It doesn't matter what the hell Twitter thinks. All that matters is whether Aston Villa win or not and what the people in the boardroom think. And if they had a really bad person, genuinely bad person in the dugout and we were winning, it would be like it wouldn't really matter because we'd be winning. And some people might say Jared is that really bad person, is he's a really bad manager, and that's proving itself to be the case at the moment. But I genuinely don't care what we do as long as we win or who does it. But somebody needs to make a change somewhere, and that's the frustrating part about it because
The
we
same
do have
things
decent
keep happening.
players.
The
Yeah,
same things. I get you.
it's
We do just need to see some form of change. Even against West Ham, the fact that he changed that midfield, I thought, right, even if it doesn't work, let's just change something. The front three, it feels like we're just trying to stumble upon a combination. I don't think they're bad players, any of those 5-6 options that can play in that front three. I don't think any of them are bad players. I just think we're trying to stumble upon the right combination
yeah,
at the moment. I actually thought Leon Bailey was decent last night. With limited time on the ball. Thought when he did have the ball, he looked bright. Leon Bailey looked the most likely to make something happen. He's a very good dribbler, very good manipulator of space on the ball, Leon Bailey. But it's that midfield three. It's madness to keep doing the same thing over and
yeah.
over again. And I just want to see something change there because you do the same thing over and over again, you are just going to get the same results over and over again, and that's what's happening. I mean, you look at those ratings there. I mean, I think the Buendia 7's pretty kind. If I'm being honest, but some of those ratings, Luca Dean left back, like I said, he's really struggling at the moment at left back. Conser, I feel bad for what I said at the start about Conser. It's probably a bit harsh, but I do just think he's genuinely off form, and he does need taking out, because I think his performances aren't getting any better by just playing him. You can keep playing someone over and over again. It's not helping. It's not helping him at the moment. And there's a viable option to play instead of him, who I think Chambers and Mings looked to the better partnership last season when they played together, in my opinion. So just do that. Just do that. But I don't even mind losing. I can accept losing. I've watched Villa lose hundreds of times in my life. I can accept that. I want to see some form of tactics. I want to see some patterns of play. I just want to see something. And at the moment, I'm seeing nothing that I can say we're doing well, except for shooting from corners with Douglas Luiz. That's it. That is it.
That's probably a good thing to nearly end the podcast because shooting from corners is but
that's the
I must say,
thing we've come up with for a while. That shooting from corners.
We're the only team in the league that's doing it.
Yeah.
But I must say, it was funny. Aston McPhee gets up off his seat and almost does a lap of honor afterwards, and you're going, man, there's no way we're meaning it. Like, these things go in, and I know he puts them in training when there's no one on him and stuff like that. But is this
he scored one in pre-season as well in his defence?
No,
it's actually 3 Luiz has scored direct from a corner.
Yeah,
count pre-season.
It's hardly a case if he looks over to the line and Aston McPhee goes, now's the time to do it. Now's the time to put it in the back of the net.
I don't know with Villa at the moment. That may well be what's happening.
Well, if the first corner was anything to go by.
The first one, I feel like that was part of the plan.
Oh, maybe so.
Let's do a little Let's do a little stinky one to start off with. We'll lull them into a false sense of security, and then next time you have the shot, and they won't be expecting it. That feels like that's what's happened. To be honest, let's end it. I'm sick of Villa. Absolutely sick of Aston Villa Football Club at the moment. But the good news is I get to come back at 10 o'clock because we're going to see out the last hour of the transfer window with you. So we'll see what goes on there. Neil, you won't be there. Well, you've got your own show later on at the end of the window, I believe, your show.
Yeah, I'm jumping on 11 o'clock. I've got stuff on. The one night of the year where I spend the whole last 3 months just literally talking about any person with a pulse that's even like if there's somebody spotted wearing a claret and blue pair of socks. They were linked to Villa. I was talking about them, and then the one day of the year when the thing bloody closes, I've got something on between 7:30 and 10:30. So
bad planning.
Do you know what? I might. But we are on at 11 o'clock later on, and you, as I say, you guys are on at 10. So
Ty's on Twitter at 9 as well. I might jump on there.
Ty's on Twitter at 9.
At some point. So you'll be covered by someone for the remaining hours of the transfer window. Get yourself some purity. Cheer yourself up if you like that kind of thing, and use our code #VillaView to get 10% off. And as we say, I'll be back with Omar at 10 o'clock to see out the last hour of the transfer window with you. So stay tuned to the Villa View. Subscribe with your post notifications on, and you'll see when we go live. We are going to aim to start on time, something that we're not very good at, but we're going to give it a good old go to start at 10 o'clock for you. And one thing left to say, up the Villa.